bringing you the truth, or something like the truth. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
It is a Thursday edition of The Bottom Line. You've got us on 100.7 The Score and 107thescore.com. Clint Scott with Chris Snead and Jackson Frazier taking care of us.
I think the people have spoken.
I didn't mean to. I swear I did not mean to.
And yet you did.
And yet I did. Hit us up on the Aids Flooring Center chat line. We get this on the chat line. Clint, you have a cat pick sharing partner. Snead and you are such a good match.
I mean, I'm a cat guy, and I'm not afraid to admit that. You know, I said I'm a cat guy. You got a problem with that?
No, and when they're getting, I mean, have you?
No, I'm asking any listeners.
Sure.
You got a problem with that?
Well, and what they're getting at is, I
know you have a cat.
Oh, we've got 3.
Yeah,
and I enjoy them.
Oh, we used to have
They're
2.
great pets.
We had 2, and then my guy Bubba, you know, he I want to say he assumed room temperature, but he just he assumed it into the afterworld.
But there was
he's in kitty heaven.
There was one night where kind of late at night, and I was watching TV, but I was just kind of bored, nothing really on, and I took some pictures of our cat for my wife to send them to her because she likes those. Just trying to make her night, and I wasn't paying attention, and I sent them all in a group message to Aaron and Gus. And it was like I'll just say this, it was well past everyone's bedtime. So the next morning, and then it was like when they woke up, it was like on a Saturday. So I was waiting for it on Monday, and Aaron, I think Gus was mortified.
I was like, cat pics, huh?
Yeah, Aaron was like, I'm going to use this as ammunition.
Of course.
And I expect it because I would use it the same way. We get this from Bullfighter. Thanks, Snead. This segment sucks. That absolutely regards to the NBA. Dude, just stop. Nobody freaking cares. Raiders dad said, there are words coming out of Clint's mouth, but I have no idea what he is talking about. So brush the haters off. I'll take the NBA talk any day.
Yeah, that happens from 9 to noon. Right here on 100.7 The Score with your man Choice Woodman.
Oh man. If we get this, Snead, you got to bring the rally chicken to the cubicle. Not too early, or it'll be a dead giveaway.
I think that can happen. There are so many things that are about to happen. I'm so giddy about this. This is like, it's like, let's just see how long we can do this.
Yeah.
How long we can just keep, because I have this feeling that it's gonna be like months before someone actually notices that I've moved in.
Mm-hmm. Right. And again, I just can't get over the fact that now it's been like 3 weeks.
It has literally been 3 weeks.
One, it also tells how monitored we are.
Yeah, I was like, no one's listening. I'm moving in. I am flat out telling the world, I am moving into a cubicle, and no one's. It was like, no one even notices.
Like, you could make a big declaration. Honestly, you could say right now, hey, like the radio that we actually used back there, like, I'm taking the radio and I'm moving it into the other production room. And you could do that. So it'd be like, who moved the other radio into the other production room? What are we doing? We're going to track him down. If only there were clues. If only there was some way to tell. We get this on the chat line, Snead, although I agree with you, it is October 20th.
It is October 20th.
It is October 20th. Can we talk about Tech men's basketball instead of NBA, please?
I think so.
Certainly.
Yeah, I mean it's getting close. And
I told this to McGuire last week because season's going to start November 7th. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you are just within an arm's reach of taking off. And you look at the Red Raiders basketball schedule. I mean, not just anything popping out at home.
No,
but you're in the Maui Invitational. That's going to be that'll be November 21st. So I know that's closer to like a month from now. But you're going to have a few games rolling into that.
I mean, the home schedule is not setting the world on fire. I mean, you get every directional HBCU, FCS, whatever spare team that you can get on the schedule, just like everyone else.
Sure.
I mean, you would make, folks like, the mothership would have you believe that Duke and North Carolina and Michigan, all they play is other Power 5 teams all the time. Mm-hmm. But, there's going to be a game where Duke plays Presbyterian and North Carolina's going to play Western Carolina, and the Catamounts are going to give a scare to the Tar Heels for a half.
And part of that, too, is, again, I'm not going to harp on this too much. You just had awful draws in the Big East, Big 12 battle.
Yeah.
And you got Georgetown. You also had a bad draw with LSU, who just was decimated from essentially everyone transferring out after they had the allegations come out and fired their coach. And I mean, the LSU, I guess that LSU game, as far as just non-conference as a whole, because that one's going to be at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
The only one I guess that makes that a little bit different is that's in the middle, of course, of your Big 12 play.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Though, we get to deal with that random mid-January SEC Big 12 challenge.
Mm-hmm. But you're still going to get a good look at this team. It's going to be interesting because one, you're not expecting who I think will be is your best player in Fardaws Aimaq. Probably not going to see him until Big 12 play.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of having these games that you should be winning, thinking you're going to have a good look, but then you're going to have to throw everything, I guess, restarting fresh when you get him back anyways. But
yeah.
I don't know, maybe you see it as a positive. Maybe you see it as a just kind of meh type of feeling towards it. But the good thing is it's going to certainly help Daniel Bacho, who's going to need to have a much bigger role as just in general this year for depth. But also as, he kind of expectedly takes over that AMAC role. Now, different skill set, but another big body. I mean, you're going to see O'Banner run at the 5 a lot this year too, which he did that at Oral Roberts, so it's not anything different. But the biggest thing is you're going to have the same questions that you're going to have, or at least you've had for the past few years. You got a bunch of new faces, only 3 returning on the roster, only 1 starter, that being O'Banner. And so it's the same thing. It's, boy, well, how quickly can you get these guys to play together, figure it out, all that good stuff. And I don't know if you'll have a definitive answer with your non-conference.
Well, I mean, you're going to get some questions answered. I mean, because no matter what you think, you're going to, even though you got Georgetown and LSU, you're going to get some real challenge. I mean, you're going to get Creighton in the Maui Invitational, then you're going to get Arkansas or Louisville. And then you're going to get somebody else, an unnamed team, but that's going to be a real team. So you're going to play 3 real games there, right there in the middle of your tomato can non-conference schedule, and then you're going to come back with Georgetown. I mean,
yeah, you're going to have I still think you're going to have a fun non-conference, and it'll be cool just to see the Georgetown logo. But I mean,
I don't know. That's it. I mean, the only cool thing about that is going to be watching Patrick Ewing walking onto the court. That's about it. Outside of that game's going to be garbage. That team is going to be garbage, and we're going to win that game by 30.
I was trying not to have my first reaction of when I saw that in the offseason. Oh, my God, Georgetown, when they had 4 wins last year.
Yeah. The only cool thing about that is going to look over there on that bench and go, that's Patrick Ewing.
I'm in. Patrick Ewing autograph.
Outside of that. And everything after, that's Patrick Ewing, is going to suck.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's going to lead, of course, into a very, very difficult Big 12 schedule. Do you have a favorite in the league? Because here's the thing.
Yeah, gosh. You
can pick 5 from 5 to me.
Hard not to go with the national champion, defending Natty champion right now, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you don't know. I mean, TCU's got everybody back. I mean,
everyone back. I think that they're going to be probably a criminally underrated team from most people's perspective.
Yeah. Baylor.
And especially if you get the TCU that was playing at the end of the season.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare matchup.
Yeah. But, I mean, Jamie Dixon has a way of making his teams play horrible in the first half of the year.
That's true.
But they're always around at the end. And, we'll see. I mean, Baylor's going to be good. They got everybody in the world back, at least a good portion of their team. You know, we're the team that seems to be the one that's playing the. You know, we're going to flush out the roster every year, and we're gonna press reset and rebuild it every year.
Well, that's the interesting part to me going back to the Horned Frogs. Like Texas, Baylor, and Kansas all kind of have a similar roster setup right now where they have some returners, they have some incoming freshmen, and then they have some pretty stellar transfers, and they all kind of have that similar recipe where yours is you're going to find out, you know, I guess you have a returner, but it's not multiple guys that made, you know, divots in the box score last year. And you do have a stellar transfer and a couple other transfers who I think are really good. The problem is the stellar transfer is going to be out for a while. I will say, though, you know, your freshman, maybe like a guy, too, I guess, in the transfer realm, too, like a Jalen Tyson. It's just you have more unknown right now.
Yeah, which is okay. And
yes,
the fact that you're fifth is amazing.
Back with more next on 100.7 The Score.
Bringing you the truth, or something like the truth. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
That music means it's time for the fastest growing game show in the world, Take versus Take. I've seen the numbers, and that is accurate. Clint Scott with Jamie Lent and Jackson Frazier. You've got the bottom line on 100.7 The Score and 107thescore.com. I shouldn't ruin it, but since I've been back, coming off of a little bit of a winning streak, Jackson has the questions today. Jamie, how is your competitive fire? Is it well lit today?
No, not really. Not really.
One of these days you're going to come in trash talking. I'm just waiting for it. Waiting for Rat Tail Jamie, Air Force One Jamie to come out. Take it away, Jackson.
All right, Clint, we'll start with you. Whichever team you have the most investment in emotionally, how do you handle like a really bad loss?
Not well. I can tell you it's the basketball team in college in the Big 12 that everybody hates, may or may not have won a national championship last year. That may have been
and we wonder why we hate them.
Yep. I like that I said the team that everybody hates and then a reason why.
It's not the team, Clint.
It's not the team, it's the fan base. They did nothing wrong.
Phil Self's probably a really likable guy.
Excellent head of hair that's been glued on.
Adidas is probably, super clean. There's probably nothing shady that went on there.
Or everyone was doing it. If they would have been doing it, they would have been punished by now, Jamie. Total sarcasm in there. Please catch the sarcasm in there. But to answer your question, that may have been the biggest, like, the first relationship hurdle with my wife and I. Was the first time she saw me on a Saturday. We're hanging out. Jayhawks losing early. It was like an 11 or like a 12 o'clock tip, something like that, early in the day. And my entire Saturday was just ruined. Not just incredibly, if I'm by myself or like with people that really, really know me, I'm just not incredibly fun to be around if it's going bad. I try to be respectful for some reason if I'm watching the game around like someone I don't know and try not to show them immediately how much I hate it. But I mean, I have punched a couch arm before. Let's just say that. I don't throw stuff because I don't want my stuff to break, but I have just like tense. Like I remember the Dayton loss last year. I was generally sore after because I had just clenched the muscles so much, such anger. And that happened during a press box show last year too.
Bad deal, man.
Yeah, Hacks loved it. He deserved it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if my answer is better than his. I'm just going to be honest with you. I just got to get out of the house. I walk. I just got to get away. And that's probably been since I was a kid. I just don't want to talk. I just want to be alone.
Yeah.
And so I walk. So Saturday night, Yankees blow a 2-run lead in the ninth. And I'm trying to be in-laws, brother and sister-in-law in town. Trying not to be antisocial son-in-law, brother-in-law, and go to the basement. So I'm watching the game.
Mm-hmm.
in the living room. Everybody around. And, you know, ninth comes around, 2-run lead. I'm not feeling good, but I'm like, I'm gonna do the right thing here. I'm gonna be an adult, and I'm gonna sit here in the living room and hope it goes well. It does not go well. It does not go well. Okay, it does not go well. All right, and so I'm like, you know, it's later at night, and so I'm like, I'm not gonna leave, but I'm just gonna go to the basement. Right, just gonna go to the basement. Well, the boyfriend comes over. Okay. And the daughter and the boyfriend want to watch TV. And so go to the basement, and I'm just, you know, at this point, I got the tennis channel on. I'm just trying to breathe it out. Jamie, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In through the nose, out through the mouth.
And the daughter's like, hey, we want to watch TV down here now, since we can't watch it in the living room because the relatives don't know to go to bed. And so I had to get up from the basement, and, you know, I don't want to be a jerk to my daughter. So, yeah, you guys hang. That's cool. And so I have to go back upstairs, all smiley, just headed right to the bedroom. I'll see you people tomorrow.
I watched.
So that was tough. I felt bad. Once Choice came over to our house to babysit our kids, and the Mavs and Spurs were in a playoff game, and Mavs hit a buzzer beater to beat the Spurs by 1 as he's standing there in my living room about to babysit my kids. And I was like, oh, man, that was tough for Choice. And then we left the house. We get in the car, and I'm like, do you think we should trust Choice with our children right now?
All right, kids, you ever started a fire before?
And, of course, my wife's like, Megan's there with him. She'll keep him from killing our kids. Hope so.
Oh, man, I watched this will probably bring a smile to your face. The game a couple years ago in Lubbock that Tech just blew out the Jayhawks. Like, wasn't even close from the start. Watched that with my wife's family. That was one of the first games, like, her wife or her family was in town. We're over at her grandparents' house, and I'm really the only one actually watching the game, invested in it. And at the end, it's just like kind of essentially, man, that's a tough deal, but like really hearing that, it's just like trying to hide the anger, and then hearing like, man, rough night for the Jayhawks, right? Like, yeah, terrible.
See, what's worse is when your child plays tennis and you don't have a scoreboard up, right? You go watch your kid play football or basketball, there's a scoreboard, right? Everybody knows the score. Go watch your kid play tennis, and you have people, relatives, that are there to watch, that are sitting there, okay, with you, supposedly watching, okay? And things aren't going well. Like, oh, what's the score? What's the score now? Pay attention, okay? When it's not going well, I don't want to be asked what the score is.
See, and that's the problem too, because you probably know you as the score guy, right? Like, yeah, you go to Jamie for the score. He's got the score.
No, pay attention. If you're going to be here, pay attention. Quit talking. I mean, there's been times where they shake hands at the end, and they're walking off the court, and the grandparents are like, did she win or lose? Why are you here? Why are you even here?
To be fair, I wouldn't know who won or lost in tennis either. I wasn't told.
Just
and I see the scores.
Just watch the last point. Okay. Whoever wins the last point, they won.
Just tell that to the grandparents walking out like, old Esther and Ruth are walking back. Jandis is walking back like, I have no idea who won. Like, watch the last point, Jandis.
There's nothing worse than when your kid is struggling. So I'm like, ooh, what's the score now? What's the score now? How's it going here?
Psst, hey, buddy, what does love mean? I've got no idea.
Why is nobody yelling service?
Boy, she really whacked it with the racket that time, didn't she?
I'm actually going to give the point to Jamie because that's how I am. I just have to be by myself for a little bit.
I can see that. You guys like get emo.
Yeah.
Start stirring out like windows with rain coming down.
I had a bad experience where I snapped at my mom.
Ooh.
It was during the Bills' great comeback against the Oilers. I snapped at my mom. It was a defining moment in my life. And I really mean that honestly. I was like, dude, I felt terrible after Buffalo came back and won. I couldn't even enjoy it. I was like, it's sports, man. It's sports. And my mom felt terrible, and I felt horrible, and like that changed me forever. So I don't snap at people. I just get away. I just walk away.
It's like trying to be my mom. It's just sports. Get in my room, Mom.
Why is our bullpen suck so bad? Just sports.
We should win every game 100-0.
Jamie, we'll go to you for the second question. It doesn't have to be sports. In my mind, when I first had this question, it was. But if you just have any, do you have any superstitions that you follow?
Man, as a kid, I did. I had a 50-cent piece. Okay, that every Buffalo Bills game, in a circular motion, I rubbed the 50-cent piece, and obviously I lived in some place where I could see every single Bills game.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I was in New York, and I would rub that the whole time. Now I would say that my only superstitions are the order that I use my colored pens during Tech baseball games to write in my scorebook. Depending on if they win, they keep the same order. If they lose, I change the order. I'll do my best to make sure I don't go back and use the same order of a loss a few weeks ago or whatever. I try to keep it changed up, so try to help the Red Raiders the best I can.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever had like weird superstitions, but I certainly have routines that I stick to. Like they only even kind of, I don't know if it counts as a super, like I did this a lot as a kid. If I don't beat that car to the tree, I'm going to drop dead. I'm like running beside it, like that sort of stuff. And then I'd be like, it's not really real. But then the closer the car gets to the tree, the more I'm actually sprinting. What if it's real? What if it's real? Like I did that stuff. But I don't know. I would say like I eat my food in a very specific order, and it bugs me if I don't do it. Like I can't go bite here, bite over there, bite back to here, bite to this side, back here. Like I'll almost always go protein first. Like if it's like, let's say a very classic, here's like a piece of chicken, here's rice, and here's green beans, something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm always going to eat the protein first and then eat what I'm going to like the least all the way up to what I'm going to like the best. And it will literally bug me if I don't do it. But it's great that I'm in control of that. I used to be didn't want the food to touch, and I've gotten way past that.
What are you afraid of if you don't eat it in the right order?
The car's going to beat me to the tree, and I'm going to drop dead. Right, if I don't chew this food 13 times exactly, a hole underneath is just going to open up, and I'm going to fall down. We will do a slight continuation of this when we come back on 100 episodes.
Getting to the point, but taking the scenic route to get there. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
It's the Bottom Line at 100.7 The Score and 107thescore.com. Clint Scott with Jamie Lent and Jackson Frazier. The last you heard of us before we went to a commercial break. It's like the cliffhanger. Jackson was just about to give away point number 2 of Take versus Take. Jamie had the first one.
I think that one's close, but I'm going to go with Jamie.
So Jamie's your winner.
That's exciting.
A little bit more of an actual superstition.
I think
you're a superstition.
Yeah, I think he just feels bad for me because he knows the Yankees bullpen is not very good.
They're terrible. Awful. Maybe the worst in the league, right? We don't even need a third question. Save it. Whatever you had, save it. You know what? No.
Give yourself the point, Jackson.
We're restarting Take versus Take. It's just Take versus Take. It's just Take versus Take. It doesn't mean anything.
What is question number 3?
Someone bring the ice.
I want to sweep.
Fine.
Question number 3. Clint, what is a food that you used to love but you can't eat anymore for whatever reason?
Ooh. That I used to love. I have more that I hated that I like now. Like I used to not like mustard. Now like on a corn dog, it's delicious. I used to really dislike sour cream. Now like on a burrito. It's fantastic.
Burrito?
A burrito. Get you one of them burritos with sour cream, I'm telling you. I would say the Taco Bell tacos specifically. Because now I have learned, usually, I think the problem is when I used to get them, we'd eat at Taco Bell because we'd be like going to Dodge City, it's like 45 minutes away from us, right? So you go in to eat, and now we pick it up and bring it back like to the house if we get it. And the problem with that is those, like the consistency of the shell is like a wet napkin within like 2 seconds. And so I really just kind of grew to dislike those. And now I could probably go in and they'd be fine, but I've sworn them off, and I go there enough. maybe I should give them another chance, but also the normal ones aren't covered in nacho dust.
Plus, they don't have ketchup packets there, so that's another issue.
Oh. That's why the kid didn't give you ketchup. He didn't have it. This guy said I'm smoking weed over by the dumpster and asking for ketchup.
That was a different,
like I asked.
That was a different fast food joint, and I did not say it like that. Did not even mention the Yankees bullpen to the guy.
Get me a better Yankees bullpen like I asked.
When I was young, up until about, I don't know when it changed, but I'm going to guess like 7 or 8, I used to love beets. And now I think they're so incredibly nasty. And I mean, it was like, I don't know if I had a bad experience, but it seems like it was like a flip of the switch. And now Thanksgiving, when people pull out the beets and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh man, get them away from me. But I used to love them as a kid.
Now the only beets he likes is sick ones when he's rapping over them.
Wiggity wiggity.
That's the 4th burnt CD in his car. It's just little crouton going ham on a track.
Mm-hmm.
My family likes, or at least my dad does.
Mm-hmm.
I've never actually tried the pickled beet, but the pickle beet, it's pickle wrap for Choice Woodman. He's your rapping rival you're going to feud with because he just raps about pickles. The smell of a pickled beet is one of the worst things I've ever inhaled into my nostrils. Maybe I should try them this year. It's been a while though.
You should.
But you just said you don't like them anymore.
I didn't say I was going to try them. I said you should try them.
You try one with me?
No.
Jackson, are you a pickled beet fan?
Never had them.
We'll do it for the bottom lines Thanksgiving this year. We'll try pickled beets together.
Jamie also gets the point and the sweep.
We're starting take versus takeover because that was all mulligans.
Let's go.
What's the most excited you've been over a win? Because I can completely see you, like you're saying, the calm. I just need to be by myself. I just need to go listen to some Yellow Card, stare out the window, and I'll be fine. But like, what's your
take the 4 super regional clinchers, especially the last one against Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was probably not good for a radio guy to mention this, but I was having a hard time speaking in the 9th. After the Wilson home run, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was struggling to speak.
that ball was incarcerated into left field?
Yeah. I mean, it was like my mouth was moving and there was a little squeaking, which is somewhat normal for me, but I mean, it was like, like I was about to break down.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most excited. Yeah. I mean, the first one, against College of Charleston, I mean, just like the shaking going on. And I can remember after Oklahoma State, like my body being so like sore from being so like tight and nervous, like clenched up every part of my body. Just was like wore me out. And then a few hours later, I was like, man, I'm super hungry. And it's like, because you haven't eaten anything all day because you knew you couldn't.
Yeah.
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 That was
And you
probably
basically did a workout of stress on top of it.
Yeah, that was probably the most excited I've ever been for a win. And like, of course, no yelling or anything like that. Just, you stay calm.
Professional.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, remember, I'm a radio guy who couldn't talk.
I doubt the listeners, though, like once, as the play was happening, I doubt the
Yeah.
listeners were like, boy,
Yeah.
I'm not excited about this win anymore. This is terrible.
I wouldn't call me a professional, Clint. I would call me a fan who they said, hey, you should go on the radio and do the game. Yeah, I'm just a fan. They're lucky enough that they said, hey, you go do it.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's go.
That's the way I like my radio guys.
Complete homers and
Yes.
who can't speak at times. I don't even know what will happen if we get to that moment in Omaha. It just Hacks will be just. I mean, he'll killing it, and you'll just hear like mild weeping in the back of the booth or something.
Your champagne bottles popping. Jimmy, we need you to talk.
Is there a sick cat back there?
That's Jamie excited. All right, Jamie, you have a question of the day for us?
Jamie's question of the day on 100.7 The Score is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
All right, today's question involves a Red Raider basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
Which Red Raider basketball player? There's so many new ones. Which one are you the most excited to see what their game's like?
If it's just, is it just the new ones or entire roster?
You can pick an old guy. I mean, there are not many of them to pick from.
Right. And I'm really excited to see the growth of Daniel Bacho this year. Feels like you've heard quite a bit about him, and you were already excited about the strides he made last year. But I want to see the development of his game, and I want to see if he's, made those actual steps that you've heard about. It's also hard not to say Elijah Fisher, just the amount of hype that he has around him and as talented as he seems, and how big of a deal going back to this past offseason when he reclassified and committed as a Red Raider. Like, that was just all so great. And, I mean, Mark Adams has had a lot of praise about him over the past few days, and about how kind of he's already approached practice with a physicality, and excited to see like the defensive side with him because you didn't have any questions offensively. So it'd probably be one of those two guys, but if I had to pick, I'd probably go Daniel Bacho.
I feel like Daniel Bacho is like football's Mason Tharp. We love a big guy, don't we?
Sure.
I mean, it felt like everybody was so excited about Mason Tharp heading into the football season. And I feel like it's the same way with Daniel Bacho.
And with Bardol's out, you're going to get a pretty good look at him. I mean, you expected him to be in the rotation anyways, but early on, certainly will be put into that lineup.
Mine is Elijah Fisher. I'm super excited. I'm not one to usually track high school players and see where they're committing or who's close, but I was with him. I really wanted Tech to be able to go grab him. And to see that stuff that Coach Adams has been saying the last few days about him, being one of the better defensive players, it really makes me feel like he's buying into the Tech culture and what we do. And I think I'm really excited to see him on the court. I think he's going to be an instant impact kind of guy that we could also cheer on in the NBA, or at least I can in the NBA.
Yeah, that was a good change. We tried to talk the NBA earlier, Jackson. You and I got shut down. We will have Jamie answer his very own question. We'll throw it right back at him.
Well, I'll go ahead and answer because it's the same as you guys. It's Elijah Fisher. And I just think, 5-star, that kind of talent, I think it's going to be crazy fun to see how good this guy is.
Let us know what you think on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Man, I was trying to do one of these tease things you keep telling me about.
My bad.
Hour number 3 next on 100.7 The Score.
Getting to the point, but taking the scenic route to get there. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is once again time to play a little No Diggity. We play it at 2:15 every weekday, Monday through Friday, right here on the Bottom Line. You can get us on 100.7 The Score and 107thescore.com. Clint Scott with Jamie Lent and Jackson Frazier. No Diggity. It's where I throw out a situation to them and also to you, our fine listening audience. F-Y-N-E, fine. And with their digitometers, and your digitometers, of course, now household item. Tell us, what'd you say earlier? Hit the moguls?
Yeah, like in downhill skiing when you...
Yeah. Yeah, I just hit the first one.
Those are tough.
Maybe my about fourth one today, but felt like a big one. That one was like one that left a mark right in the middle of the head, cartoon style.
Sure.
And with your digitometer, tell us just how much diggity said situation has. Jamie, there was a report out I don't know if you're this way. I certainly am. Or would you consider yourself a mosquito magnet when it's mosquito season?
I don't think so.
Oh, I am. Like it won't be bothering like my wife at all, and she'll look over, and I'll have a different beard over my beard, and they're all made of mosquitoes. And they're like, "Oh, it's just because you're so sweet."
That's
She didn't say that, but I've heard that saying before. I think it's hilarious. No, it's not. Jackson, are you a mosquito magnet?
There's definitely days when it's like mosquito time. I feel like I definitely have my times where they just will not leave me alone.
Mm-hmm. And the size, like the difference coming down here, like to the Texas or at least to the southern mosquitoes compared to the Kansas mosquitoes, are real. Like there's been times down here where you get those like mosquito torches type things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have coated myself in repellent, 2 different kinds, and I'm waving that torch thing around like Ace Ventura with bats. Just get out of here, just trying to fend them off.
Mm-hmm.
Scientists have finally figured out why that is, though. I know I'm not alone. Unfortunately, there might not be anything that you can do about it. It's well known that mosquitoes do love some people and ignore others, but we've never known why. Some thought certain blood types attracted them, or maybe the color of your clothes. I've never thought that, but there's never... purple. Get them! Get them, boys! But there's never been much evidence to back it up. Now researchers at Rockefeller University in New York think they found the answer. It's your body odor. But not the kind that could clear out a room. They had people wear nylon stockings on their arms for 6 hours to let their scent transfer to the material. Then they looked at which nylons mosquitoes loved the most. Some were 100 times more attracted to them than others. And they all had one thing in common. The oil in the person's skin had more something called carboxylic acid. Carboxylic. Please spell that.
CARBASYLIC.
CARBOXYLIC. Save that for Chuck the next time it comes back around. That's an acid that keeps your skin moisturized and protected, and some people just produce more of it. Humans can't really smell it, but mosquitoes can. So now if you're one of those people, and I just say it's because of all of this carboxylic acid, here's your no diggity situation of the day. Mosquitoes are the most annoying animal on the planet.
I have more issues with flies.
Ooh.
So I'm going to go... I'm going to say 100% diggity.
Oh, all the way.
Yeah. I
Wow.
think flies are much more annoying than mosquitoes.
What issues do you have? I mean, I don't love flies.
Just
I'm not a frog.
when you're out back grilling or
Yeah.
whatever, just leave the door open for 2 minutes, and next thing you know, one just keeps landing on your arm while you're trying to get another out here in the bottom of the ninth or whatever. Yeah, with your terrible bullpen, you're swinging at flies.
I get that though. Like the worst thing with flies is when you hear one and then it's leaving and then it comes back and it's leaving and it's like zzz,
I think the worst things about mosquitoes is when you're when you're camping out and you've got one in your ear that's buzzing around your ear.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst thing when you're out in a tent or whatever.
I'm one too. Like as soon as I get the little bump, I want to rip that part of the body. Like if it's on my hand, I want to rip my hand off. If it's on my foot, I'm going to rip my foot off. Like I can't leave it alone. I need just like 5 gallons of calamine lotion or whatever. Jackson, is the mosquito the most annoying animal in the world?
100% no diggity.
My man.
Can't stand them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Bites, everything to do with them.
Malaria.
Can I get a 30?
Sure.
Is a mosquito an animal?
Yeah. It's an animal. It's an insect, but insects are animals.
Is it? Are they?
Yeah. It's
An
like, is a
insect?
fish an animal?
Yes.
Yeah, so why wouldn't a bug be an animal?
I don't know. It's an insect.
What would you
That's
think
not
it'd
an
be?
animal.
You said insects are animals? Just like is a hot dog a sandwich sort of thing?
I'm going to get up and leave.
Oh, does that really trigger you? I was
Yes,
just
it does.
making a little joke.
Yeah, it does.
Jackson, today's second no diggity situation. I'm just kidding.
Is an insect an animal?
Yeah, of course it is.
By definition.
Well, I guess I can't say confidently by definition. I was going to.
Is an insect
It's gotta be. Why wouldn't it be?
an animal?
It says insects are the most diverse group of animals.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
See, I should have stuck with my confidence. Of course. What else would they be? Not a shoe. Not a plant.
Potentially over 90% of the animal life forms on Earth are insects. I would not have called insects an animal. I'm still
Jamie's
not going
writing to science. Dear science right
Dear
now. You have sincerely messed up with your classification of insects. Have them as their own little department.
Mm-hmm.
See, but even then, I had a hard time not saying animal department, which would be an animal. There we go. We've been double scienced up today. You learned about sloths, and now you have learned about mosquitoes. We get this on the Exploring Center chat line from Bobby Hot Dogs. I hear you, JL. I had a family in town for Game 6 of the 2019 ALCS. They learned some new word combinations after LeMahieu's homer, and then a different set of word combinations after Altuve's home run.
So there was beeps going on that night.
That's what it sounds like.
Not,
Censorship.
not just for Jose Altuve.
Oh, they were hitting the cans, I said earlier. That was well done. This is from Tyler. My wife hates watching sports with me because I'm so negative. Once she snaps at me, I won't say anything else to her, but will then text my friends and dad about my negativity. We also get this to your chicken, just the fingers as your spirit animal, with ketchup as your spirit sauce. Spirit sauce, wheat strain. Clint, the meathead, all in the family of the end of the bench family. Whoa.
We're definitely a family.
Part of a family. Clint, those aren't superstitious things. They're outright OCD. Yeah, but I was just trying to find an answer in there. I don't really have any superstitions. I guess not stepping on the base path. That was one I made sure I didn't do that.
Oh yeah, never. I never.
Yeah.
I always jumped over the line.
But yeah, I didn't like after I had to score a touchdown first, but like if I scored a touchdown, I wouldn't pull out like a rabbit's foot from my pants. Like, it's all because of you, buddy. Thumper did it again. You know.
Rabbit's foot.
So that'd probably be a flag for bringing rabies onto the field.
Dude, remember they used to actually sell, you could buy the little fake rabbit's foot, like for your keychain or whatever.
Yes, I'm glad that went away. That creeped me out. Like you're at a massive Love's on the way, and like have these $2 pair of sunglasses, a random hat that says like "I Heart Truckers," and then like a rabbit's foot. Memories on your road trip. Check out the Denny's in Kansas City on the way. Bobby Hot Dogs also said there's also the whole mud butt aspect of eating food from Taco Bell. Fair. El Jefe says, I used to love the McRibs, but now they gross me out. I think they still have them seasonally. They do. Do you go to the nearest Golden Arches when that happens as well? Load up the car. Kids, come on! We gotta go yell at a kid for forgetting our ketchup. McRibs are back.
No.
We get a bacho for what Texas Tech men's basketball player from the roster you excited to see this year. Also, we get this. I thought OBJ was going to the Vikings. I think there's a lot of things linked with places he's visited.
At the beginning of the year, he was linked with Buffalo. Glad that's...
Getting to the point, but taking the scenic route to get there. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
It is a Thursday edition of The Bottom Line. You've got us on 100.7 The Score and 107thescore.com. Clint Scott with Jamie Lent and Jackson Frazier. Keeping us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Thoughts, comments, questions. We get this on the chat line. Juju Blossom Wheat Stream. I've seen the Wienermobile twice north of Lubbock on I-27. Awesome. Still haven't scratched that off on your Wienermobile map yet?
I still have not. Nope. Don't think I've ever seen it in person.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
it's glorious. You start singing the song. Wish I was an Oscar about your wiener. That's what Jamie would truly like to be. My spirit animal is the sloth. This is from Shelley.
So that means you're slow, but really strong.
Really strong, apparently, but very good swimmers. That's what he said. Didn't make any sense.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't make any sense. Clint would be the Funshine Bear we determined about a year ago. No. Shelley said Weasel Lint. I saw Pauly Shore at the Comedy Store in May, and he did the Weasel thing at the end of a 15-minute set. Couldn't believe my luck. Since they are attracted to carbon dioxide, it would literally mean you are full of hot air. That's probably fair. Clay also says he's one of those people. Raiders' dad says, I agree with mosquitoes right next to cats. Jamie over here doing play-by-play, whispering like it's a PBS station, playing smooth jazz or ASMR. Oh, that'd be a funny way to do play-by-play.
That's why Hax and I are good together. I mean, he can handle the important stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll just worry about what color pens I'm using.
But you have a system.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
system,
That's you need the system.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Tech taking on the West Virginia Mountaineers for homecoming on Saturday. I had this discussion with Captain Sneadaroo earlier, Jamie, and it feels like of the games you have left, now you are getting to the point where you can officially say, hey, these are must-wins if the must-wins are equaling you reaching a bowl. And to me, to reach a bowl game, maybe the next two, Baylor may be a little bit of a stretch, but West Virginia certainly feels like a must-win for that aspect of things for me on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not the guy that likes to use the term must win very often, but it does definitely feel like this is one of the easier games you've got left on your schedule. A, it's a home game. B, West Virginia's doesn't look like they're top of the conference kind of team.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely feels like, you know, your path is going to be much more difficult if you don't get this win.
And I'm not even trying to slight West Virginia, but I certainly think they're one of the two worst teams in the Big 12. And I say that, and they just won it, or just beat Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think because it's at home, and at this point, this is where every single Big 12 team has played really well at. And you always say, well, yeah, it makes sense they're at home. But, I mean, with it so competitive this year, I really think that has been the case. The one kind of standout road win to me in the conference was Kansas State taking out Oklahoma in Norman, and that happened early.
Sure.
But past that, I mean, most teams have protected their home field, and
you got to hold serve.
And you have to stay in that same vein. And again, the Big 12, every single game I look at as completely winnable. What's left on your schedule, but every game is losable. It just feels like this one is a little more winnable to me.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I agree with all that. I think it's, again, the path to a bowl game is much more difficult if you don't win this one.
What do you want to see?
But I've also told you that I think you're good enough to win any of the next 6, right? So if you lose this one, I'm not going to sit back and say, oh man, you got no chance. I don't feel that way at all.
You're good enough to.
You're
good enough to win the next 6, and everyone else is good enough also to beat you 6 times. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like I would be shocked if you actually went 6-0.
I don't know if you're good enough to win the next 6 because that shows extreme consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and with young quarterbacks and a banged up offensive line, I don't know that I see that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're good enough to win any of the 6. Okay, so let's say you lose to West Virginia. Well, I feel like you're good enough to pull off an upset at TCU, or you're good enough to, beat Oklahoma here at home, or you're good enough to, to get a win over Baylor here at home. Those weren't necessarily ones that I said are the easiest ones, but I think you could get one of them. So if you drop this one, that means you're going to have to get one of the tougher ones. So any of the 6, I think you could win, and I think you could win 3 or 4 of them. I just don't know that I think you're consistent enough to win all of the 6.
Yeah.
I don't think I would go there.
And again, when you put in the unpredictability of the conference this year, that's also where I would be very, I'm not saying you can't, and this is still looking way ahead. I would be really surprised. I'm going to be surprised if honestly if you went 5-1.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
And again, you're not.
I would. I don't know. 4-2 seems doable to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be a little bit short of saying that would surprise me, just because I feel like it's absolutely possible.
You have any nerves about this game on Saturday?
Yeah, I would say I have nerves for every game, but I mean, clearly it's losable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, West Virginia is not a terrible football team. To me, if you can slow down those 2 wide receivers, I think you've got a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is a big time key, because I think those guys are pretty good, and JT Daniels pretty good. I just think you're going to be able to score points in this game, because their defense is it's not what we've seen before from West Virginia, where they're crushing quarterbacks and they're putting all sorts of pressure and they're dominant. That's just not the case. Their secondary is really young, so it feels like a game where you could see the Red Raiders maybe have their highest scoring game of the season minus Murray State.
Right. And I look at this game too, because this is and to your point, I think West Virginia right now is playing the 2nd worst defense in the conference. Very far away from Oklahoma, who's very clearly playing, I think, I guess maybe Kansas too. All 3 of those teams kind of lumped in defensively, playing pretty bad. But to your point, you have the availability to put some points on the board this week.
Good news for the Red Raider offense. You got all 3 of those teams left on the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. and again, you look at it too, like this is
and all 3 at home.
The first time, and I'm not nervous about it, but I've heard that be discussed a little bit over the different shows, different points of view. But it is interesting that now, is there any different approach mentally from some of the guys now that you're the favorite? Because you haven't been the favorite in a long time. And I don't think there will be a drop-off, but it's, I think, something you have seen disappointing games from Red Raiders past, right? Especially over the past 4 or 5 years. And I think this is really the first time you would, other than Murray State, this is the first time that I think could be what I would view as a letdown game. And I don't expect it, but I do think that's interesting. That it's kind of the first time you've seen that this season, just because of how tough your first 6 have been.
Man, I can't tell you how disappointed I would be if it felt like we came out flat because it was a letdown game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're just nowhere near that as a program to ever think, hey, we're just going to walk in here and get this win. Yeah, so that would be really disappointing, and also kind of feels counteractive to what we've felt like. That might not be the right word. It's the opposite of what we've felt like Joey McGuire has been all about, which is energy and effort and excitement, and I would just be really surprised if his team didn't show up to play on Saturday.
And I would too, and I think that's been one of the differences you can see with the team between the coaching staff of last year and this year. I think that's been something. It feels like it's been a team that even if they've gotten off to a slow start, which they have a couple times, it hasn't been, boy, this game's over. And I haven't seen what I would label a true meltdown. I know you gave up a lead against Oklahoma State, but I still don't label that as a meltdown. I think Oklahoma State just adjusted really well. And Spencer Sanders finally kind of got going and showed you his how lethal he can be if you let him be that way. And I think that was a little bit of it. And I also think with your own offense, I mean, Baron Morton getting dinged up certainly did not help because his play dropped off in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of it to me.
Yep.
Let us know what you think on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Give you a real quick this day in sports history. In 1910 was the first appearance of the cork-centered baseball in the World Series. In 1963, Jim Brown would set an NFL single-season rushing record, 1,863 yards. And finally, in 1968, American Dick Fosbury would use his unconventional technique to win the men's high jump gold medal at the Mexico City Olympics. The Fosbury flop would become the accepted most efficient technique.
Pretty cool.
Scott flop didn't stick.
You should do it right over this table during the break.
I will. More next on 100.7 The Score.
This has been the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score. Go to 100-7thescore.com for more from the Double T Sports Network.